this gold and bronze smoky eye using my Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette. So if you guys want to learn how to create this look, then carry on watching. So I had already filled in her brows using the Brow Wiz by Anastasia Beverly Hills in the color soft brown. So I've done this off camera. Now I'm just defining under her brows with concealer, and I've also applied that all over the eyelid. Now I've just used a bit of translucent powder to set the concealer so it doesn't crease, and it also creates a really smooth base for eyeshadows to blend across. Now the first shades I'm using is Raw Sienna and Burnt Orange, and I'm just going to buff this through the crease and over the eyelid. Using a smaller brush, I'm also going to apply those same shades along the bottom lash line. Next shade from the palette is Antique Bronze. I've applied this to the outer half of the eyelid and slightly into the crease, not too much. And I've applied this to the lower lash line as well. Going in with the dark matte brown from this palette, I'm using this to add more depth to the look, so I've applied this to the very outer corner of her eyes. Now I personally didn't go too dark with this look, but if you want to make it more smoky and more bolder, definitely add more of this dark brown. Going in with the gold shade from this palette, I've applied this over the eyelid, starting from the inner part to the center of the eyelid, so it's not all the way across. This is more of a light white gold, I would say. I do wish it was a little bit more darker and warmer, but it's still a really pretty shade. Then I'm going to go ahead and do a light highlight under the brow bone. To line the lash line, I've used this NYX pencil in a bronze. It's dark enough to create definition, but still subtle compared to a black liner. Now I've applied the same liner on the lower lash line, focusing more on the ends as opposed to all the way across, and I just used a smaller brush to blend in the edges. To finish off the eyes, I've gone ahead and applied eyelashes. These are just from eBay, and I will leave a link down in the info bar if you guys want to know what lashes these are. So it's time to start on the base. I'm using the Becca Liquid Illuminator in Opal, one of my favorite products to use on clients. So I've applied this all over the face except for the forehead. Now for foundation, I've used the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation in the shade Beige. I've applied a few stripes across the face, and I used my Real Techniques buffer brush to blend it all in. Then I used my sample of the Laguna Liquid Bronzer. This was actually my first time using it, and I really liked it. I've applied this to her neck and her chest to give her an overall bronze look. For concealer, I used the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in Custard underneath the eyes and down the T-zone. And then for cream contour, I used the Hourglass Vanish Stick Foundation as well in a darker shade. So I'm going to blend in the contour first using my Real Techniques buffer brush, and then afterwards I will use my beauty blending sponge to blend in the concealer. Now today I won't be doing any baking under the eyes, just because I don't want it to look too matte. So I've just lightly set the under eyes with a bit of yellow powder, just very lightly. For highlighter, I've used Becca Press highlighter in Opal. Another favorite product of mine. I think their highlighters are really beautiful and just sit on the skin really nice. It's more natural as opposed to like a really strobing highlight. Now my favorite blush to use is from NYX called Sugar Mama. It's a baked blush. It's very pretty. It's a subtle peach shade and makes the cheeks really glow. So it's definitely a favorite of mine. Using these two shades from my Anastasia Contour palette, I'm going to further bronze up the face and enhance the contoured areas. Then I'm going to do a bit of baking underneath the contour just to make it look cleaner. And I've just used my RCMA translucent powder, and I just let that set for a few minutes. But in the meantime, I went ahead and started doing the lips. So I've used this Maybelline lip liner to lightly shade in her lips. It was a very natural color, pretty much similar to her natural lip shade. Then afterwards I applied a bit of gloss over the top. Now I didn't want to draw too much attention to the lips, so I tried to keep it as subtle as possible but still something, because I didn't want to stick nothing on her lips. So yeah, it was very subtle. Lastly, I'm applying a bit of mascara to her bottom lashes. Nothing too much, but that is pretty much the completed look. So we've come to the end of this tutorial. Here is the before and here is the after. So I really loved how this look came out. I think it's really pretty and complementing, and I just personally love a overall bronze look. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and hope